Hello and welcome to all of our travelers and tourists, our vagabonds and soli vagants. Welcome to episode 20 of the Untranslatable podcast. Today we are bringing you a special edition for all of our travelers and tourists out there. Episode 20 is focused on tourist do's and don'ts, so please pay attention because we will be dropping some serious knowledge bombs on all of you this evening. I'm with my amazing co-host, who I believe is a true traveler and maybe not a tourist, but I could be wrong, my good buddy, Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. According to the quiz I took privately, we didn't have time to do both of us on the show because Chad required two screens for his
That's
just
right.
him.
Hypothetical and real. That's right.
So we only did Chad's. So when I did it in my private time, it said I was expert traveler.
Did it really? Like, are you being serious? No, you're not. Oh, you had me fooled.
I wanted to keep the lie going, but I was like, why would I? What's the point? No, I never did it.
Appreciate the honesty, Jared.
But please, first of all, everyone, follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1. I drop hilarious gems like that where leave you guys at the edge of your seat wondering, oh, no, he didn't. Did he?
That's right.
No, I probably didn't. Or you could see pictures that I believe exist somewhere in the ethos.
Somewhere
in the far cloud, I believe they call it, of Chad in Czech Republic. For all I know, he just painted his room purple one night.
I did.
And he's in the exact same place he's always been.
You caught me.
But just in case he wants to drop a gemola on all of us, Untranslatable Podcast on Instagram. Or you can email us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Tell us about maybe some of your tips that some things you like to remind yourself when you're going on a trip. And also something I need to figure out with Chad is we kind of talked about this on a previous episode, but I feel like it deserves revisiting. Can you be a tourist and that not be an offensive word?
Right.
Is there a way to be a tourist and it not be used as an insult? I think you can be a tourist.
I agree. I just think depending, like we said in our previous episode about being a tourist, it just depends on how you define it, right? So I would agree with you, though.
I guess that's fair.
I think tourists aren't always a negative thing. I think, like anything in life, though, you should be a tourist in moderation, right? You don't want to be that stereotypical tourist with your fanny pack, and if you're an American, you're wearing like your Hawaiian shirt and your sandals and socks.
It's
or
Tommy
something.
Bahama. That shirt cost $65.
Really interesting. Okay. Well, $65 I have gladly saved then, Jared. What can I say?
I actually have no idea how much a Tommy Bahama shirt costs, but I feel like they're expensive. It's on the expensive side of Somerset Mall in Michigan.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you know that mall? You're not from that area.
I've never been to that mall, no.
Okay, yeah. No, there's no reason why you would. Anyway, I mean, because, like, for example, we had an episode a while ago about Italy. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to visit Italy and other places.
Ideally, yes.
And you're going to be a tourist, right? Or
most definitely, absolutely.
I think. Can you accept that as a thing and it not be like a negative thing? Will you take pictures of anything?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you yet, so I can keep you on your toes.
Oh man,
gotta keep those pictures on the cloud and the ethos. Up for question. Mm-hmm.
This? And this is an honest question because I struggle with this too.
Mm-hmm.
And when is it acceptable to take pictures?
I think. Well, here's the thing, Jared. I can tell
because this shit is beautiful, is it not?
Right. But see, here's the thing. I think if you immediately go to take a picture, and I think they've actually done some research on this, if you immediately go to take a picture of something, you don't actually value it as much if you like kind of take it in first, right? So like if I go somewhere, I would rather stand there and look at it for a minute or two and then maybe take a picture. But some people
soak it in.
Exactly, because so many people, especially in our generation, with their selfie sticks and their smartphones, they're just always trying to take pictures immediately. And for me, I would rather, I'm going to remember this far longer in my mind, ideally, than I will based on a picture on my phone. And for me, it's more about the experience and not about the picture and not about the social media likes. But I think for some people, they care more about the social media likes than the actual experience,
Yeah, no, I feel like that got a little personal at the end, but
How'd that get personal at the end? Why? Do you do that?
no. No, I don't even really post that much on. I mean, especially outside of the untranslatable stuff. On my own personal stuff, I almost never post anything. I'm what they call a lurker.
Me too.
I think that's the proper term.
Me too.
A lurker.
We both have been lurking.
Yeah. I like the lurk lifestyle. I don't believe I have anything of worth or interesting to say.
No?
As I talk into this microphone.
Fair enough. Well, I thought you were going to enlighten me a little bit, Jared, because I've spent a few days in the Czech Republic now.
Yes.
Well, almost a week. And I would love to learn more about the country, and I thought you said you might be able to enlighten me with some fun facts.
I did. See, that's you noticing that I haven't been following along to our...
Somebody's got to keep you in line, Jared.
I do. You know, you've been there for a couple days, and I like that you like to immerse yourself in the culture. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd like to give you some fun facts just to help you, you know, if you need to whip it out every now and again and just be like, hey, you think hey, did you know Czech Republic is west of the West? During the Cold War, Czechoslovakia was considered part of Eastern Europe. However, Prague is actually further west than Vienna, Austria,
yes,
which is considered part of Western Europe.
Yes.
Historically speaking, the Czech Republic should be considered part of Central Europe rather than Orthodox Eastern Europe. Correct. Did you know that?
I actually did know that, and the only reason why I knew that is just like our podcast, I tried to do a decent amount of research before I came here. And yes, a big pet peeve, I think, for a lot of Czech people is when uninformed tourists come. See, there you go. I just said it. I think if you're an uninformed tourist,
and you
that's
put that
bad.
emphasis on the T.
I did. Got to keep it spicy, you know. But yeah, so I think if you're informed and you're a tourist, it's not nearly as bad. But anyways, uninformed tourists will ask Czech people sometimes, what is it like living in Eastern Europe? And as you said, if you look on a map, they're not in Eastern Europe. It's geographically pretty much dead center. I think the issue is most, especially Americans that I know, they associate the center of Europe to countries they know more about, like France, Germany, maybe even Spain. But geographically, they're pretty far west, right?
Yes. And I think that also goes to stereotypes, too. Because I think there is this like stereotype of Eastern Europe being like different than like it's like especially like because people say that it's I hear it a lot about, for example, Poland, and it's like Poland has one of like best economies in Europe. It's hilarious that people say that.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's that's also just stereotypes and whatnot. I mean, you do know that I'm saying you do know, but I don't know if you know this, but I believe you do that. Czech Republic is number one in beer drinking country in the world.
I could have told you that.
Yes, I figured that, but there's a second part to this.
Okay.
So they're known for the pilsners. That's their thing. Mm-hmm. Do you know when it was first brewed in Czech Republic?
It was sometime in the 1400s, wasn't it?
No, sir.
Later or earlier?
Earlier.
1200s?
Earlier.
Pilsner, you mean?
Pilsner.
Really?
The Czech city of Pilsner.
Pilsen
is home to Pilsner. Former Czech President Václav Havel used to take visiting heads of state to local pubs to have beer. Beer is known to have been brewed here since 993.
Oh, but just beer, not necessarily pilsners, right?
Oh, fair enough.
See, okay, because I was thinking pilsner.
I'm so bad at these.
You're good. I think pilsners, though, it was around the 1400s. I could be wrong.
Okay,
but yeah, beer.
What's so special about pilsner?
It's just, I think, the way that probably the different ingredients or the different brewing process, maybe.
I guess there was a time when that smoothness was probably way more. I don't know if groundbreaking is the right word, but way more appreciated.
Probably.
Because I think pilsners a lot of times are underappreciated these days.
I would agree, but I think some of that has to do with all of the craft beer culture, and
the pilsners that Americans get associated with.
Right.
Like Budweiser.
Right. And actually, the interesting thing about Czech is that's where the original Budweiser, which they call Budvar, came from, which I think actually tastes really good.
I like that beer.
Yeah, I do too. It blew a couple of my friends' minds because they, believe it or not, do drink American Budweiser, which I don't really understand. But hey, to each his own. But I told them, I was like, that's actually originally from the Czech Republic. And they were like, what? No way.
When I think the first time I heard about it was when I studied abroad in Austria, and it kind of, I wouldn't say it blew my mind, but I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
That I'm asking you questions I don't know if you know the answer to, but how does that work? Like Budvar is Czech, is the Czech way of saying Budweiser. Mm-hmm. How's that? What's that relation like?
I'm trying to. I don't really know, so I'm trying to do my quick research on this right here. Budvar from Budweis, a brewery in the Czech city of Český Budějovice, I think. German is Budweis. Best known for its original Budweiser or Budweiser Budvar, pale lager brewed using artesian water. I don't really know what that means. Oh, right here. Artesian water is water from a confined aquifer containing groundwater under positive pressure. This causes the water level in a well to rise to a point where the hydrostatic equilibrium has been reached. So I think in fancy words, it just means that it's water that basically has different chemicals in it because of the way it comes up through the ground. I could be wrong, though. But I guess what's different here is that the barley is from Moravia, and then they have hops from Saz, which right here, according to Wikipedia, it's a noble variety of hops, which is named after the Czech city of Žatec. This hop is used extensively in Bohemia to flavor beer, such as Czech Pilsner. There you go. But I'm not really sure what the difference is. But here, this looks interesting. There was a trademark dispute. So the company states that by modifying the recipe, it brews different types of Budweiser. So they have all sorts of different kinds, but I don't.
Did you see that I saw something about the trademark dispute as well?
Okay.
The trademark dispute has been going on since 1907.
Yep.
And I think it seems like Budvar, the Czech company, is claiming that Budweiser stole their name.
Right. I would.
So there is really no relation.
No, there's not. I don't think so either. It's just the name, it seems like.
Right.
Yes. But interestingly enough, right here, according to the trademark dispute, Budweiser sells its beer as Bud in most of the European Union. Kind of interesting.
Right.
Which makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm sure where in the market of Budweiser, it's much harder to get away with.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. I would agree.
But it's probably easier to get away with here. I guess we have Budvar, it's just not as popular.
Right. You'd have to go to like a world market or somewhere where they specialize in foreign stuff.
Yeah. My grocery store in Michigan had a pretty extensive beer collection. It was pretty great.
Actually. I would agree. Mine even had Pilsner Urquell, which is also a very, very famous Czech Pilsner.
Mine did too, yeah.
So what other Czech fun facts do you have for me, Jared?
I was going to read more about that trademark dispute. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. The Czech Republic is the castle capital of the world.
I did not know that. It makes sense, though. I mean, there are castles in all sorts of small towns scattered throughout the Czech Republic. There's a beautiful castle in Prague. So I guess that makes sense.
Given its location in the center of Europe, there were armies from all sides who always wanted to come through what is today the Czech Republic. As such, they built a lot of castles. Over 2,000 of them are in the country today, which is the highest density of castles in the world. Prague Castles is also the largest castle. Wait, Prague Castle. Is there a castle called Prague Castle?
Yeah.
Prague Castle. I feel like I'm saying Prague weird.
You're good.
Is also the largest castle in the world by area at over 7 hectaacres.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what? Can you translate hectaacres to normal acres?
No. A hectagon has what, eight sides, right?
Yeah.
So is it 8? Probably not, though. I have no idea. I'm
It's
not a
18
farmer.
acres.
Oh, it's 8?
It's, I don't,
Okay.
Yeah, it's 18. I don't know what the connection is either.
Okay,
I just want to
interesting.
see your logic. But I like where you went with the hecta.
Right. I try. Any other fun facts for me?
Yeah. Are you a castle person? Do you like visiting castles? Or do they get old quickly?
That's a great question, actually.
You're not going to take pictures, that's for sure.
Right.
Especially not a castle. That's tourist trap central.
Well, I feel like a hypocrite because I took pictures when I went to the Red Castle with my mentor. So I do
maybe that quiz I gave you a couple weeks ago might have been correct.
Maybe, Jared.
All I'm saying.
Maybe.
That's all I'm saying.
You know, those free online quizzes tend to be spot on with their placements, I have to say.
By the way, you don't know how much I spent for that. I just took it out of our untranslatable bank account.
Oh, fair enough. Our
joint untranslatable bank account.
Right. Well,
because luckily, much like the Twitter, Chad doesn't really remember the password.
Yeah, caught me red-handed.
I've been embezzling money for years from
That's
many
right.
other companies, but there's a whole scheme going on.
That's
here.
why Jared always changes the password on me because he knows I don't want to be associated with such nefarious things. But anyways,
my body's tattooed like Memento.
Right. But to answer your question, Jared, I like castles, but they do kind of get old. I think after you've seen enough castles, I mean, basically you're seeing kind of the same thing, just like with slightly different architecture, right? Maybe it was built during a different time period.
It's also so long ago that it's like you can barely all right, I get it.
I mean, that's what is really amazing.
That's crazy,
right.
But it's like
what boggles my mind even more is not only the age of the castles, but the means in which these castles were built. These people didn't have power tools, they didn't have cars, they didn't have trucks.
Right.
And especially what's crazy is when you see castles that are high up on the mountains or on a hill, and people had to haul that stuff all the way up there. And I often wonder too, how long did it take them to build some of these giant castles, and how many people did they need to build them?
Well, that's another thing that some of them they say take tens to hundreds of years.
Right.
And even that in itself is hard to comprehend.
Absolutely.
My mom used to live in Chicago, and I remember I would go see her, and there would be an empty lot she lived in a high-rise apartment kind of situation in the city, and there'd be an empty lot to the left of her, and then I'd come back 6 months later, and they'd be doing the beginning foundations of a building, and then after that I'd come back a year later, and it'd be done, and I'd be weren't they starting a building last time I was here?
Exactly.
They're yeah, that was a year ago. They're done now. They're finishing it up now.
Right.
And it's what? And I think that's something that, especially people like me that don't know anything about construction, is probably wildly taken for granted.
Right. And especially the methods of construction way back then.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy.
We're using the top of the line technology. Robots, baby.
Right.
It's 2018.
We got engineers. They didn't have,
they had math though to a certain extent.
Yeah, they did. But
I think it's also surprising to see how extensive their math was. But math only explains it. Then you have to actually do it.
Exactly. And what also is really phenomenal about that is so many of them are still standing today. They're not in ruins, but they're obviously it takes current maintenance to keep them running and everything. But I mean, I would.
The dome in Cologne is under 24/7.
Oh yeah.
Year-round
maintenance.
But
I think they do that more just so the appearance is nice for tourists, I would imagine. I'm sure
that makes sense.
I'm sure some of it is probably structural too, obviously, but I think a lot of the very famous landmarks in Europe, to me it seems like it's more just to keep up a really good image, not necessarily if they didn't restore it, it would crumble.
It's gonna crumble, right?
But I'm also not an architect, so don't take my word for it, listeners.
Right, we're just talking. We don't know anything.
Exactly, everything with a grain of salt. With the two
of
us.
I got another one for you though.
Go for it.
Did you know that the Czech Republic has the highest standard of living of any former Soviet bloc country? The current per capita GDP is on par with Western European countries like Portugal and Greece. They have the most hospital beds per capita in the EU, the highest rate. Are they in the EU?
Yeah.
Because they do not use euros.
They do use their own currency, but they are part of the EU.
Okay. You don't have to use the currency.
No, I have Czech crowns, koruna.
No, I know they have crowns. I thought you'd have to use euros.
No.
I'm just surprised. I mean, Czech Republic, not you specifically.
Right. Well, I think, isn't Poland a part of the EU, and do they use euros?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And before Brexit, England was a part of the EU, and they were still using pounds.
That's a good point.
Is Switzerland a part of the EU, or are they?
Switzerland doesn't use euros?
No, they use Swiss francs.
Switzerland.
I think they're a part of the EU, but I could be wrong. But I do know they use Swiss francs.
Switzerland is in the European Union.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, they're not in the European Union.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me because they've always kind of done their own thing.
Switzerland. The relation between Switzerland and the European Union are framed by a series of bilateral treaties whereby the Swiss Confederation has adopted various provisions of European Union law in order to participate in the Union's single market without joining as a member state. All but one, the microstate Liechtenstein, of Switzerland's neighboring countries are EU member states.
Right.
So they're technically not in the EU. That is some Switzerland shit to do.
It is, isn't it?
Technically not in the EU, but they abide by all the EU rules so that they can still trade and be
right.
And
which
that
is really
so
smart.
Crazy.
That's really smart, though.
Oh, it is smart. I mean, if you can do it, if you can do it, it seems like the way to go.
Right.
But it is that is a very Switzerland move. It's like, listen, we're not on anyone's side, but we're still trying to get this money.
Right? Oh, for sure. Why not? That's great.
Liechtenstein. I have been to Liechtenstein before.
I have not. I want to go and check it out.
I think I just drove. Not only if I drove through, but
does that count then? Have you really been there? If
I've been to Luxembourg. Speaking of tiny countries,
I've also been.
I played soccer in Luxembourg.
Oh, cool.
I've been to the International School of Luxembourg.
Oh, nice.
Stayed in some stranger's house.
That's always fun.
It has been. No, I don't like that one. All right, I got a couple more for you.
Sweet.
I got a couple more. Due to its lack of international and domestic conflict, as well as its low crime rate, the Global Peace Index in 2016 ranks Czech Republic. Do I have to say the Czech Republic every single time?
No.
I can say Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Ranks Czech Republic as the 6th safest place to live on Earth.
Oh, nice. I
You're worried about all your stuff. 6th safest place to live on Earth.
Yeah, but Prague is in, I think, the top 5 of pickpockets.
All right, that's
because
fair.
I mean, technically, getting pickpocketed doesn't mean you're not
it's not
safe.
Dangerous,
right? Right. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating if you get your shit stolen.
Ideally, they don't feel you. You don't feel them at all.
Right. Exactly. If they're a good pickpocket, you won't even know.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So I assume you know the language has a formal and informal.
Yep.
And the natives are patient with the foreigners who use them inappropriately.
Yeah, I was actually asking my cab driver when I landed in Prague, because I was curious too, like, who do you use formal and informal with? I was wondering if it was similar to German or even Spanish, who have an formal and informal. And he laughed and he said, well, because you're an American, he was like, you can get away with a lot. If you accidentally use the informal, no one's going to get mad at you. And he told me, they'll be really happy that you're trying to speak Czech. So
well, there you go. Mm-hmm. There you go. Did you know that puppetry and marionette exhibitions are very popular?
I do now. I did not beforehand, though. I got a fun fact for you, Jared.
Hit me.
There is one word in the English language that was actually adopted from Czech. Any guesses what that word might be?
Can you give me a hint, like a genre where it would be used?
Kind of like technology or science fiction.
Alien?
Robot.
That was gonna be the next word I said.
Yep, robot comes from Czech, and I forget the author's name, but he wrote a series of science fiction books, I'm pretty sure. And so yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's always more talk about the beer in Czech Republic. They always got to talk about the beer. Oh, here's an interesting one. The Czech Republic or Czech Republic, as you're allowed to say, according to Chad. So if I'm not allowed to say it, get mad at Chad. Let's play a new game, Mad at Chad.
Oh, geez, let's not say we did.
The Czech Republic ranks as one of the least religious populations in the world.
Yep. I think over 50% of people say they're atheist. Am I right?
Well, what I'm saying here is with only 19. Well, which your stat could still be true, but what my stat says is with only 19% claiming that they believe in God.
Gotcha. Okay. So that is over 50%. Yeah.
I wonder why that is. How did they just avoid religion?
I wonder if some of it has to do with the communist rule and everything, because under communism, religion is not usually looked at very positively.
Okay. So it just never got its way into the culture.
Well, I think it probably had a place in the culture, and then it kind of disappeared with changes over time. And actually, here I got another fun fact for you. In my town of Chomutov, there's a beautiful church, but the cross, Jesus on the cross, is not in the church because it was removed by the communists, and I guess the Russians, or I guess back then the Soviet Union, and they actually, I guess back in the day, my mentor was telling me they used the church as like a warehouse or something.
Really?
Yeah.
They just totally didn't want to have any sort of religious connotation to it. It was just a building.
Exactly. So maybe I bet you that might have some influence on it, probably, but I could be wrong. I'll have to ask around and see if we can find out some more about that.
Yeah, please.
We'll do.
Please do. Mushroom hunting is a favorite pastime of the Czech people. You know all of these things?
I know a lot of these. Yeah.
How have you not brought any of these up in our conversations?
Because I don't want to give everything away. You know, if you're a magician, you can't use all your tricks in your first show. You gotta.
The Czech Republic is a true paradise for people who love parks and gardens. Mm-hmm. It has 25 protected landscape areas and 4 national parks, in addition to broadleaf and conifer forest.
Yep.
Rivers and mountains.
And also, what's cool is there's a.
Oh my gosh!
What?
Sorry,
it's crazy.
I'm just blown away by what you know.
What's also really cool about the Czech Republic is there's an area that's very mountainous, and they actually call it Czech Switzerland.
Why is that? Because of the mountains.
Yeah, because it's very mountainous and very beautiful.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I underestimate how many mountains are in Europe in general.
Right.
Because when you first mentioned mountains, like a while ago, mountains in Czech Republic to me, I was like, there's mountains in Czech Republic. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't there be?
Right.
There's probably mountains in just about every country in Europe, except maybe Liechtenstein. Maybe no mountains in Liechtenstein.
Maybe not.
Mount Liechtenstein.
Are there mountains in the Netherlands?
Oh, maybe not. Yeah, Netherlands is known for being pretty flat.
Are there mountains in France or Spain?
There are definitely in France.
Oh, that's true.
In the south of France, there's I believe there are in Spain, but I don't know what there are. I'm gonna check Netherlands first.
Huh. Interesting. But yeah.
List of mountains and hills in the Netherlands. All right. Let's see what the. No, there's not. The highest point in the Netherlands is 2,900 feet. I don't think that counts.
Okay, probably not.
Spain mountains. I do believe there are mountains in Spain.
Yeah, I think there are too. I think you're right. I think they're by France, aren't they?
I guess we'll find out.
We will, won't we?
Spain mountains. List of mountains in Spain. All right, they've got some real mountains too.
Oh, cool.
Not some of these Dutch mountains. No offense. Unfortunately, you can't change the. I wish it was in. All right, well, these are in meters, which I am a professional at. Anyway, the highest point is 3,718 meters.
Okay.
And it's in the Canary Islands, and it's in Santa Cruz de Tenerife, and it's called TAD, TE meters in feet. I'll tell you in American. 12,198 feet.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's a mountain.
That's solid. That is a mountain. I would agree.
Right. All right, I'll give you some more fun facts.
Okay.
Let me give you some more fun facts.
Sounds good.
I mentioned to you, I don't know if this was on or off air, because we also do broadcast onto AM radio, for those of you who didn't know. Tourism is big business in Czech Republic. No, I'm kidding. That's not the end. It has an impressive architectural heritage with 12 UNESCO monuments and many centuries worth of monuments, buildings, towers, bridges, blah, 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 blah. 12 UNESCO monuments. I think that's pretty impressive.
Another bonus fun fact for you. I'm pretty sure a lot of these UNESCO monuments are in Karlovy Vary, which is like it's a spa town. It's not too far from where I'm living. But yes, Karlovy Vary is known because they have these really cool hot springs where you can drink like fresh mineral water straight from the ground. And they have other sites. They also, what's really famous here is Český Raj, or Czech Paradise, or Bohemian Paradise is what it's also sometimes called. And it's a beautiful national park. So yes, the Czech Republic is a great place to go. Great place to be a tourist in general, I think. So many things.
But don't take any pictures. Use your mind.
That's right.
The camera in your mind.
Well, use your mind first and then take some pictures to show your friends.
Sneaky pictures.
Unless you're really good at just describing how picturesque everything is with your words, or paint a picture yourself.
You have a Hemingway-esque way of talking.
Exactly.
Hemingway-esque way of talking. Did you know? So you're familiar with the Prague Castle. Did you see Prague Castle while you were there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about it, Mr. I know all these facts?
Well, Mr. I got nothing. I got no response for you there. No comeback. But I mean, I don't really know that much. I know where it is. I know what it looks like. I'm pretty sure it's built in a Gothic style, and it's also right by the cathedral, which is also really beautiful. It's in the Staré Mesto, which is the old part of town in the Czech Republic. Or in Prague, sorry. So you have to go across the Charles Bridge, and it's very easy to see. It's
really cool looking, because I'm looking at a nice kind of far away picture, and the castle is like there's like a wall that's also like, I assume, offices and buildings. That is essentially a wall around it that surrounds then this just gorgeous castle in the middle of this wall of rooms.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
That it is awesome looking. So it is. Did you know it is the largest castle in Europe?
I did not, but I do now.
It has. Guess how many rooms it has.
I don't know.
It says more than this number, but just
more than 1,000.
A little hot, coming a little hot.
More than 500.
Up a little bit, 700.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
More than 700 rooms.
You could throw some bomb parties in that place, dude. More than 700 rooms.
Yeah, I mean, do you have enough? I guess if you live in that place, you'd have enough friends.
Well, I think I don't know if you could call them friends, but you got enough people who would want to come party with you.
That's a good point.
Right. But yeah, so
I might show up, and I don't know if I'd even know who owns the place.
I know for a fact you would show up, Jared, without a doubt, because that place is beautiful. But
you know what you also have to look forward to?
What?
The Christmas. They're also a big Christmas. Christmas. What do you call it? Christmas fest.
Yeah.
Right. Market. Christmas market culture.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna get the Christmas market.
I got a bonus fun fact for you about Christmas, Jared. What do you think? What do you think the typical Czech Christmas meal is? No Googling.
Is it something I would know? Is it like a?
I mean, it's an animal you definitely know for sure.
Reindeer.
Poor Santa. How is he going to deliver the presents to all the children if we eat all his reindeer? Nope. Carp, like the fish.
I don't know what it. Oh,
carp.
Fish. Really?
Yeah, carp is.
Why fish?
I don't know. I asked my mentor that, and she said it's just kind of tradition.
Because they're not known for fish, are they? I mean, I'm sure you can get fish.
Well,
easily,
I think
that's not like their thing,
right? Well, I'm assuming carp is. She was telling me that carp, probably the reason why it's a very common Christmas meal, is because you can find it in so many lakes and rivers in the Czech Republic, which is probably why it makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, so carp is like your.
Damn, carp can get big as hell.
Oh, they're huge. Yeah, they can get giant.
They're kind of gross looking.
They are gross looking. I've never actually had carp, so I'll keep you guys posted. We'll have to do a Christmas edition.
Ooh, they kind of look like a koi pond fish.
A little bit, yeah. But aren't they usually like a brown or a green?
Yeah, they are. I just happen to see some that are not. But you're right. They are also brown or green, and they're kind of big and floppy. They kind of look like the that one the bully from SpongeBob. That was the flounder, flax flounder.
Who hid the pickles under his or no, the guy who was going to beat SpongeBob up. I gotcha.
Right, that's school.
Yeah. Gotcha. Good old SpongeBob. Gotta love it. But yeah, so anyways, the Czech Republic is a great place to be a tourist. And I'm wondering, Jared, when have there ever been any times where you've really felt like man, I'm such a tourist right now?
You asked me this a while ago, and there was one thing that I thought of, but I think it was worth it in a weird way.
Okay.
So I went to Morocco, which was awesome, and I believe I was in Marrakesh, was the city.
Okay.
And they have like the they're known for the bazaar and the outdoor markets.
Right.
And it's that's all haggling style. So
right.
you can barter for your prices and whatnot. And so I was, what I was told by a professional before I went into it. I wanted to get a pair of Converse, fake Converse probably. Although I wore those motherfuckers. Why did I have to swear that? I wore those suckers for many years and years. I played soccer in them. I recessed in Germany. They treated me well.
Nice.
However, they told me that you always go in at half first and then work from there.
Okay.
And so I ended up paying like 20. Like they I think we started at like maybe at like I don't know where it started, but I ended up paying $20 for them in American dollars or euros, maybe whatever, one of those two. But it felt good because I worked it down a little bit and it did feel good. But then after I thought about it, I was like, I could have, and maybe this is just part of the fun of the barter, is after I was like, I could have gotten these for a better price.
Right.
I could have worked them down a little bit more. But I think that's part of the fun of it.
Oh, definitely. Did you also, though...
But I will say this. Why the reason I also thought of this is because when I was there, I was also hyper aware of trying to get the best price because I know that... that people that work in the bazaar just clean up on tourists, and they look. I'm sure they look forward to a tourist coming to their stand to want to buy something.
Right. I was
start a little bit higher.
Exactly.
And then
exactly. Well, I was.
And then they're probably more afraid to like barter.
Right. And I was told by a friend of mine who was traveling in Jordan. He said that in Jordan you can also barter. And he said that basically if you are a tourist and they know, especially if you don't speak the language, they will just go to town on tourists and make serious bank from them. So my buddy actually had a cab driver who drove him around everywhere, and his cab driver would actually go in and buy stuff for him because he knew he wouldn't get fair prices, which I thought was really interesting. And I mean, good way for the cab driver to make some extra tips.
Right. That we got like a tour of a lot of areas of Morocco outside of Marrakesh in a dude's like 1980s Mercedes taxi.
Nice.
He just drove us around like all these parts of Morocco, and he did the same thing like in certain places. He's like, I'll get it for you because it'll be much cheaper if I buy it than if you go in there.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I that's the thing is I think I can't remember exactly. I was young, so I was like, whatever. But like, when I think about it now, I think I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. I feel like it should kind of be like that. And I also feel like that's part of the part of the fun parts of immersing yourself into a culture long enough, where it's like that too, and like you can get that it's like I'm not paying that tourist price. Give me like or it's like you can really understand what it's like to be in the culture.
Oh, definitely,
and not just. But that's also hard to do, almost impossible, dare I say, if you're a tourist for a week. That's what I'm saying. You can't fully blame tourists because you can't immerse yourself in the culture that much if you're buying a couple things at a bazaar. It's like, yeah, I like, can I not go to Morocco if I only have a week or 2 weeks to spend? Where it's like, yeah, I can learn a thing or two, but I can't immerse myself into the culture well enough where I understand the nuances.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. So I have one time where I felt like a tourist, not in a positive way. Okay. So I was 14, and I was with my parents the first time ever in Germany. And we go to Munich, and Jared knows probably better than anybody else because you've seen me rock my lederhosen and everything before. I love all that stuff over there. And the German word for it is Tracht, and Tracht is like the traditional German or Austrian clothing, Bavarian clothing.
Is that lederhosen?
Yeah, it's lederhosen. It's the hats,
Okay.
the shirts,
the full outfit.
Full outfit, right?
Right.
And so the first time I was in Munich, they had those really cool kind of green Bavarian felt hats. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like a fedora, but
it's kind of like a bowler almost. Not a bowler. Bowler's round.
No, it's not like a bowler. I mean, it's. I would say it's sadly closer to a fedora in a way.
Yes.
But they don't look
But
nearly
it's
as
a little
douchey.
rounder? I don't know.
Right. Right.
Douchey. That's hilarious.
Dude,
Chad said that, by the way.
I did.
Chad said that.
I mean, have you seen? I just.
Wow.
I just
You
don't,
leaned. Yeah, I did.
I don't take.
You're damn
I don't
right
know,
I did.
Some people can rock a fedora, and then other people you just
No,
see
I'm with
them,
you.
and it's
I'm
like,
not a fan.
why are you doing that? But anyways, so I had this green.
My dad has a fedora too, but
he
I
can
don't-
probably
I don't-
rock it. I could see it.
But he also has hats that are like whatever.
Keep
going.
We can do a hat
This is not
podcast
about my
another
dad.
time, right? But anyways, so I got this green hat and I was wearing it around Munich, and I walked by this group of people from Munich. They were probably maybe a couple years older than me, but they were teenagers, and they see me walking around this hat, and they pointed at me from like across the street, and they all started laughing really hard. And I was just
that's rough.
yeah,
That's rough.
Yeah, and so I was like, and I asked my aunt,
That's about as bad as it gets.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
most people's worst nightmare just in general.
right, and so that so they pointed at me, they were laughing. Exactly,
That's awful.
exactly. So, and I asked my aunt Hannah when we got back.
Were
to
you
that
by
time.
yourself?
I was with my parents.
And what did your parents start pointing and laughing too?
Yes, they pointed and
What if
laughed
that
at
happened?
me. No, but so yeah, so
Chad's like, that's why I'm not coming back.
so honestly, dude, like I hate saying this now, but like they point and laugh.
why
at
did they
me.
point and laugh?
Because I guess back then it wasn't cool to wear those hats. Like I asked my aunt about it and my cousin about it, who are both Germans, and they were like, yeah, like.
Is it kind of like wearing your dad's blazer or something?
No, those are kind of like tourist hats and like older. And then typically, if you're actually
this is so
German,
sad.
generally, I guess older like Bavarian men will wear those types of hats, right?
Everyone that listens to this knows how hard you try to blend in and
Right.
fit in with the culture.
And I just get
And you just
yeah.
got put on blast. Maybe
Oh,
this
for
is why
sure.
now you always put so much of an emphasis on blending in.
maybe yeah
Because in your
that
formative
traumatic-
years.
exactly
You got an old fashioned, like, this is stuff that happens in cartoons and sitcoms where people
right.
point and laugh
Exactly.
at just a stranger in the street.
And I still
I'm sorry to hear that, buddy.
Here's the crazy thing though, dude. Even now, like I still remember how I felt. Like,
Dude, I mean, that's traumatizing.
It is.
I'm not even joking around when I say
Right.
that's people's worst nightmare. That
Right.
is that's legitimately someone's worst nightmare.
and honestly, I felt so bad because the hat was
Especially at 14 where you
Right.
can't even
And you're
laugh at yourself that well at that age.
And yeah, you're an impressionable age at 14. And I mean, I think my parents probably spent 35 or 40 euros on it, so it wasn't super cheap either.
Chad's still defending the hat.
Right? And so yeah, so that for me was like I super felt like a tourist. I was like
Oh,
God
yeah.
damn. What's ironic now though is like
Got found out.
what's ironic though now is like Tracht has like made like a comeback. And when I lived in Vienna with you, well, sadly, I didn't have any lederhosen when I was with you, but the second semester I did, and I wore them around Vienna all the time, and I even got complimented by some Austrians on my lederhosen.
Yeah, it's all about
It's timing,
fashion.
right?
Right.
It's all timing. Like, had I have maybe worn lederhosen with my green hat, they would have pointed and laughed, and I would have been like, I'm never wearing lederhosen ever. I hate you guys.
It's like we're these are cool. These cost $75.
right, exactly. Oh man, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like wearing like super baggy clothes now. You'd be like, people are like, "What are you doing?" But like, if it was like the '90s or the early
Right.
2000s, it'd be like sweet baggy
Right.
clothes.
Like, do you remember
bro.
Jinko jeans by chance? Do you remember?
I
those?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, those were like parachute pants
Ridiculous.
practically, but
Yeah.
in jeans form. But yeah, so that was when I really felt like a tourist.
They'd get all ripped at the bottom.
Yep, because they dragged on the ground, and good times.
Right.
Good times. But anyways, so we are here doing episode 5, tourist do's and don'ts, and those were a moment.
You said episode 5, by the way.
Did I really? Am I really that tired?
Yeah.
Episode 20. Sorry, episode 20, tourist do's and don'ts. This is what happens when you're still not over the jet lag. And Jared and I were talking about a couple of moments where we felt like tourists, but now I want to kind of change gears a little bit and let's share some tourist do's and don'ts with our audience. Jared, what do you have in mind?
One that, it's funny, we always bring this up, but one that came up a lot is don't look like a tourist. Don't dress like a tourist.
So don't wear your green German hat.
Yeah. Don't do the and see, Chad, you were protesting against my quiz earlier, and now you're telling me a story about how you got laughed at for being the ultimate tourist.
Exactly. Oh, that's too funny.
Maybe that's why you took that quiz so personally.
Right. Probably.
They also one that also came up I think this is this always comes up when we talk about it. That's why I almost kind of hesitate to just bring it up to any country as a stereotype. Is the pickpocketing thing, because that's a stereotype in most big European cities, and most New York, Chicago, probably.
Yeah, even probably in South America as well.
Oh yeah, probably.
Imagine. Yeah,
probably just most big cities. But I think that you have to be very careful, not only with people talk about putting your wallet in your back pocket is not good, and maybe that's true. But I think even more important is your bag selection. Right. Your what kind of wallet you have, how much money you have on you. Right. What kind of what you're wearing in general.
Oh, I agree.
But I think mainly is you have to be able to pack light. Packing light is going to be one of our hashtag translate this tips. Right. For that we're gonna emblazon on a plaque somewhere. Is pack light.
Oh, for sure. And
not only when you're getting on the airplane, but when you're leaving the hostel or hotel or Airbnb to go explore. But people, that's the thing though, is people, and it's so weird too, because we have iPhones that have amazing cameras, but people still need to bring their
huge
cameras.
Nikons, right.
And with that, you're already looking like a tourist.
Oh, definitely.
And then also for its own safety, you need at least some sort of bag. Right. And then I think if you're using a big camera, then I might actually recommend some sort of bag that it will be well closed up.
I would agree.
Because I think you look even more like a tourist holding a camera bag rather than holding a backpack.
100%.
With your camera bag in it.
The other tips I would give our listeners out there too for avoiding looking like a clear tourist and also a target for pickpockets. Obviously dressing, like you mentioned, packing light, but also you don't want to, I understand when you're in a new place, you want to see things, you're going to look around. But I think if you gawk too much and you're just so surprised and appalled by everything around you and you're just looking up and not paying attention around you, I think that can be very dangerous. Well, maybe not dangerous, but you can...
See, dude, that's why I struggle with that. That's where I always want to then go back on you or whoever says that and say, well, where's the line? Because, I guess this is just for someone's own personal that's quote unquote safety or whatever. But it's just as a tourist, am I not allowed to enjoy a new country? It's be careful at how much you're looking at stuff, even though you're walking by one of the UNESCO whatever, places in Czech Republic.
Well, let me put it this way, I guess. I think you want to, if you are looking around, you should also just try to be aware of your surroundings. I think that's a better way to put it. If you're only just gawking, it's very easy to lose attention of everything else going around you. And all it would take, for example, one of my mom's coworkers went to Prague. And these guys offered to take a picture for him behind or in front of the Old Town Square. And so he took a couple steps back. They took the picture. And then when he turned to go grab his bag was gone. And his bag had his passport, had his wallet. It was just a big mess. And he had to stay in Prague for 3 or 4 extra days because he had to wait until he could get another passport. So, it can be a very granted, nothing happened to him.
Remember, our buddy Ian, he got it was in Czech Republic or Slovakia?
Croatia. He was on a train to Croatia.
And he was on an overnight train, wasn't it?
Well, see,
and he fell asleep and his laptop and all of his electronics got stolen.
But see, that one I also don't get because he told me he fell asleep. He had his backpack wrapped around his foot So I really have no idea how they managed to do it, but these guys are
he must be
professionals.
a deep sleeper.
Right. These guys are professionals.
Right.
But yeah, the other thing I also wanted to mention though too that will just make you look like a blatant tourist is if you like have a map out in public and you're like trying to find your way. I would suggest taking a thorough look at the map in your hotel or hostel before you go. Or, I mean, nowadays you have a smartphone. What I usually will do is I will actually look up on like Google Maps or the Maps app on my phone how to get somewhere, and I take screenshots of it.
Yeah,
so I can just,
especially if you're abroad and you don't want to just blast through your data.
Exactly. So I'll just swipe through my screenshots to find my way.
And I also, I would even, I agree with you. That's a good thing to do. I was going to recommend that too. But I'd say also, don't be afraid to get lost because especially if you're in like,
it's a part of the journey.
Like a big European city, for example.
Right.
I mean, there's some places, be careful where you're getting lost, obviously. But in general, I'm saying don't be afraid to get too lost if you can trust your surroundings and trust yourself. Because especially if you're walking, I think I've mentioned this before, but I think there is something too you can kind of almost there's a natural sense of direction by starting from somewhere and knowing that all right, I've walked in this general direction. And this is the way I get back. And then maybe once you get close or maybe, you're in the area, you can pull up the screenshots. But I think just trust yourself and be able to explore.
Right. And the other...
But people also want to see specific things. They have, like, destinations.
Right.
Which I don't travel well with destinations on my mind.
Right. I like to just kind of go explore and see what I see.
Me
see
too.
what I come
Me
across.
too.
Yeah.
That's why we travel well
That's
together.
very true.
Because we can just wander.
Good point. Good point. Which is why I would argue that makes us more of a traveler and not a tourist. But hey, to each his own.
All right, that's fair.
To each his own.
I don't know why I'm fighting so hard to be a tourist.
I'm still
anyway.
a little salty about that quiz. Let's be real. I'm still a little salty. But anyways.
Yeah, but now it's all coming together with this whole
for sure.
mass humiliation.
Right.
I get it now.
Right. The litost from our one of our previous episodes, that big misery or humiliation. Anyways,
yes.
Another tip I would also give our listeners out there too is you really want to be careful with some of your valuables. I would never, if I can avoid it, I never put my passport like up on a table or something. I keep it in either like a little case thingy, which I have it there because it keeps it safe.
I have this watch that I love. Mm-hmm. It was $80, and what I love about it is it's cheap, and it's a Seiko 5 is what it is.
Okay.
But it's also like an automatic watch, so there's no battery in it.
Oh, nice.
And so I love to travel with it because it's like, well, it's $80, so if I lose it or break it, I'm not that concerned.
Right.
But it's also just like very light, and it'll never not work.
Right.
I like that, and I like that also for little things like not taking your phone out, being able to just walk around, explore.
Oh, definitely. I would agree. Do we have any other don'ts, Jared, that we want to share with our listeners? I think we've covered a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, you really. How do you feel about street performers? I feel like I've. I'll let you answer first.
I got a couple of things about street performers. One, I think it is cool to check them out, and I have definitely in the past. My rule of thumb is if it's entertaining enough for me to stop and actually watch for a couple of minutes, I'll usually tip them because I figure, you know what, you caught my attention. That's your job. I'll tip you. But I also...
it's not their job. No one's hiring them to do that. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But anyways, the other thing too, though, with street performers, usually they're obviously in highly crowded touristy areas. So I always try to be really on like my top guard when I'm around any type of big touristy area. Like when I landed in Prague.
Do you think some of those street performances can be fronts for
maybe
some pickpocketing?
Maybe it could be. I mean, I really don't know, but could be. And what I was going to say is when I was in Prague, when I landed, you should have seen just the crowd of people in front of the astronomical clock in Prague, which actually was kind of ironic because right now they're renovating it. So you actually don't even see the real thing. You see like a, I don't even remember the word now. You see like a, what's that called? They have like the facade. It's like a
facade.
Well, facade's like the front of a building, but it's like a,
mural.
Kind of. It's just basically like scaffolding with like a picture of the astronomical clock. But you should have seen just the
I'd say that's a
crowds.
mural, wouldn't you?
No, because I would say a mural is like an artwork or like a painting. These are just like a cover to show.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Like when they do renovations on anything in Europe, they'll usually put.
It's just a tarp. It's
Exactly.
a tarp that they're using to cover the work.
Exactly.
But it has some sort of art on it.
Well, it has a picture of what the astronomical
Oh,
clock looks
the
like.
build.
Exactly.
I got you.
And you should have seen the amount of tourists. And actually, I was walking to a cafe to meet some of the other teachers. And I was supposed to walk right by the astronomical clock. And I saw just the huge crowd of tourists. And I was like, one, I don't want to deal with like weaving in and out of these people. And two, I'm willing to bet you there have got to be people, pickpockets out there who are just licking their chops saying, look at all these tourists. They're all too busy taking pictures on their iPhones right now or whatever, you know.
Chat's a little paranoid, everyone.
I definitely am.
I mean, I guess this is no surprise.
Right. But hey, I've also never been pickpocketed before, so
I was just about to say that. But you probably also never been pickpocketed.
Right, exactly.
I haven't either, by the way.
Right.
I know people that have been.
Yeah. Oh, me too, for sure.
Well, maybe not pickpocketed, but I know definitely people that like my parents' friends that I've known my entire life or whatever. But anyway, my parents' friends, they were in Paris and they got their camera stolen because I think they placed it down while they were taking a picture.
Yep.
And I think someone took their picture, and then someone else ran off with the camera. Like
Right.
I think they had two cameras or something, maybe,
Okay.
or like a phone.
Well,
or
the
something
other
like
thing
that.
is too, from what I've read and heard about pickpockets, a lot of it is they do it in teams because it's so much easier. Like I know.
Right. I'll take a picture of you. Let me hold your camera. Let me hold your stuff for you.
Right.
And I'll take the picture or whatever.
Exactly. And what I've also
Me
heard,
and my friend are just walking by.
right? And what I've also heard too, in some places, what they'll do is they'll accidentally like spill something on you. So like, if they have ice cream, they'll like slip and like get ice cream all over your shirt.
Oh.
And so that distracts you. And they're like, oh, let me help you clean that up. And while you're watching them clean it up, somebody grabs your bag or takes your wallet or does whatever. And what I've also heard in Paris, for example, on the metro, what will happen is you'll get your bag taken. And by the time you notice your bag has been taken, it will be 4 or 5 cars down. And you'll never see it again. So
they're already walking down the street.
Exactly.
3 stops before you.
Right. But I don't want to make our listeners paranoid like I get sometimes.
Yeah, Chad's making me paranoid,
right.
and I drive to work every day.
right. Exactly. So
I'm like, shit.
So let's make this a little positive,
Did I lock my
Jared.
car?
And right. Let's make this positive, and let's talk about some do's that you should do if you are a tourist.
I want to hear some do's from you because you have a very sour feeling of tourism and tourist.
Okay.
Tourismus.
There you go. Toss in some German. The first thing I would say is
Polyglots. # translate this.
right. What I would say is, if you're a tourist, do some research before you get there, so you can. I've had friends in the past who just go somewhere, which I think is also okay. But I think you run the risk if you just go somewhere and don't do a little research, you might miss out on some really cool stuff. Now, with that being said, you might also stumble across some really cool stuff if you're just kind of walking around.
Both.
Exactly.
I think if you do the preparation, you can still work in time to wander.
For sure. I think you need a healthy balance.
Hit points when you wander.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, you need a healthy balance. You need to be able to go see some of the really cool stuff, but also kind of wander around and see what fits your fancy.
What do you consider the stuff that is like? What are some must-sees for you? Name some things that are tourist things, but are must-sees nonetheless.
Usually for me, well, it depends where you go, but I would say any type of land.
Of course, I realize that's broad because that
Right.
depends on where you're at. But
I would say
still.
any type of like famous landmark, right? So whether it be like mountains or a castle or a church or a sculpture.
So like the dome,
right?
and Cologne,
right? Like the Cologne Cathedral, for example. Or if you're in Prague, like it might be worth seeing the Prague Castle.
Right.
If you're in Vienna, you for sure need to go to Stephan's Dome, without a doubt.
But every major European city has their own fancy church.
Right, but I still think a lot of them
or
are worth
not even
seeing.
major, but every European
Right.
city has their own, like, this is our church.
Right.
Check this puppy out.
Right. And I would say some other things too is I would also highly suggest doing a little research and trying some of the local cuisine, right? If you're in a foreign country, don't go to McDonald's, don't go to Burger King, don't go to KFC. Get some authentic, if you're in Thailand, get some authentic Thai food. If you're, you know what I mean?
Have you ever struggled with that? Because you are a self-proclaimed slightly picky eater.
Not really.
I am too.
I mean, not really, because I would like to think I'm just picky enough where there's enough stuff I can eat where I'd be all right most places I go.
Right. I feel like I haven't seriously been challenged.
Me either. But I also am not the type of person where I'm going to try like bugs or there's a lot.
I might try crickets.
Okay. There's a lot of seafood I won't try just because I don't like seafood
right,
in
right.
general.
Yeah, you wouldn't even really enjoy yourself. We talked about this. You'd barely enjoy yourself in Louisiana, let alone
Right. Exactly.
some yeah. But I still think you could handle the catfish. I think you'd enjoy that.
Probably.
Because it's
That's
deeply fried.
Right. Sure. Sure. Another thing I would say that you should do as a tourist is I think you should really just try to make the best of any situation. What I mean by that is even if something bad does happen,
like you get robbed.
right, you get pickpocketed or maybe
I was just kidding.
or maybe
your
your luggage gets lost for a couple of days. As I've said many times before on the podcast, I tend to be a worrier, but don't let those worries get in the way of your vacation or your trip, because you're only there for a short amount of time and you don't want something small to ruin your entire trip, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've all had a loss of luggage before.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that happen before. I've also had well, that's not really a tourist thing, but I've had like a stuck on the runway for like a couple hours thing too. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that you even bring those things up, because those things would not even come to my mind to bring up, because those are just like worry things.
Right.
Where it's like a worst case scenario. But I understand where you're coming from, and maybe I should worry a little bit more about some of those things. Maybe I'm too like it'll be fine.
Right. But see, that's why I love traveling with you, because I feel like we balance each other out a lot, where I tend to get stressed about all sorts of little things and you are a lot more relaxed about everything. And actually that's another thing I would also kind of piggyback on is be relaxed. And especially for all the other worrywarts out there like me, be relaxed.
I'll say this about being relaxed. Be relaxed, especially with like, we always talk about if you're going to be a quote unquote tourist or traveler, whatever it is, at least learn a couple phrases.
Right.
And don't be, I think sometimes I struggle with this, is don't be afraid to use those phrases, even though you might sound like an idiot.
Right.
Because I think people accept that, like, yeah, of course people want to come visit my country. It's amazing.
Right.
But, like, at least this person's not trying to be annoying. They're at least, like show that you're putting some level of effort in. And I think that, that's a solid do and I think for me, like you could frame it as don't be ignorant or arrogant with your language.
Right.
But I frame it more in the sense that the way I always felt about it is like, I kind of feel like I don't know if you're mocking them or like, oh, I feel like I'm going to sound like an idiot if I'm trying to say it. It's like, no, there's just about 99% of people who appreciate the fact that you're even trying.
Definitely.
Especially since they'll immediately know, it's like, well, clearly this person doesn't know my language,
right.
But that doesn't matter. It's so cool that they're trying, and that it's funny that they even know the way to say what's up, that not just saying like good day or whatever.
Right. And I think that's one of the best do's that we could end this segment with is definitely try to be respectful of the culture and use the language when you can. You obviously don't have to be busting out complicated sentences and talking about deep philosophical things or political arguments, but just saying hello and please and thank you goes a long way wherever you are.
I do think there is a legitimate point where, we've talked a lot about don't be that guy that is arrogant with their English and imposing it on people, where it's like, oh, you don't speak English. But I think if someone is giving a legitimate effort or, trying to say the phrases that they know and trying to work with people, like you said on an earlier episode, where you like, instead of saying like, do you speak English? Are we going to, what's the name of your city? Chomutov. You said, city. Is that the order?
Right.
Where, and it's like, it's just, I think those simple things
right.
go a long way.
Oh, 100%. And I think that, the locals will see you're trying. And I think, think about it. If you're approached by someone,
I had another. I was actually going somewhere with that point. I just realized.
Oh, go ahead.
I totally forgot where I was going with that. But I do think there. I'm so sorry. As I was saying that, I was like, I feel like I was going somewhere when I said that. I do think there is a point where if you're putting in that effort, there is a point where then the person that is the native can become like then it's no longer on, there is a point where it's like it's no longer on you, and if someone's still arrogant about the language, then I think you also it's tough, but I think it also there's a point where you just have to be like accept that like yeah, not everyone's there are shitty people everywhere in the world, but like but I think most people, vast majority of people will, but you might run into those people that'll be arrogant with it back at you.
Right. Yeah, and what I was going to say is I think it's if you are willing to try to speak their language, it goes a long way, and I think they're also going to be a little more likely to help you out. And I mean, if we put ourselves in their shoes, try to have a little empathy here. Imagine if you're on the street and someone comes up to you, Jared, and just starts speaking to you in French. You're gonna be like, I'm in Philly. I'm in the United States.
Right.
Why are you speaking to me in French, right?
Why would you expect that I'm just gonna come back at you in French?
Exactly. But if they came up to you and said, and even if it was very broken English, I would still try to help them. But if someone came up to me like speaking like Mandarin or French or Spanish or any foreign language that I had no idea how to speak, I would kind of be like, sorry, I can't help you.
It's funny that you say that, though, because if someone came up to me and started speaking in German, I think I might be thrown off a little bit, but I think even more than French, I'd still be like, I'd just start listening and be like, well, let me just hear what this person has to say. You know what I mean?
But that's a language
But it's just because exactly. But even in Philadelphia, there'd still be a second like, why is this person just assuming that I know? But I'd still be like, well, I'm going to listen to hear what they have to say.
Exactly. And speaking of languages we know, Jared, I actually have some German untranslatables for you this evening.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping you on your toes with languages, Chad likes to switch things up on people.
That's right. So I don't know if you've...
Which I'm down for.
I don't know if you've heard this untranslatable, Jared. Maybe you have.
German?
This is German, and the word is Backpfeifengesicht.
Backpfeifengesicht.
Not Bach, like C-H, like the composer, but Bach, B-A-C-K. Backpfeifengesicht.
I don't know what Bach is.
Well, a Backpfeife, I'm pretty sure is just like getting hit.
Is it? Yeah, okay, because a Pfeife is a flute.
Or a pipe. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Backpfeife. Here, I'm Googling it for you.
And Gesicht is face or history?
Yes. Backpfeife is... here you go. Backpfeife is a slap in the face, or if jemanden eine Backpfeife geben, would be to give someone a knuckle sandwich or to hit them in the face.
Slap someone.
So what's a Backpfeifengesicht?
So to slap someone in the face. Because Gesicht is face, right?
Kind of. So a Backpfeifengesicht is like a face that looks like it needs to be punched. Is it like a slap into reality? No. It's like a face that...
A punchable face.
Right. Kind of like...
Oh, I love that. Oh, I get it. Right? Yeah. A Backpfeifengesicht. So it's like punch face. So it's like a face that... Oh, I love that one.
Right.
That is a fun phrase in English as well, as the punchable face.
Right. A Backpfeifengesicht. Mm-hmm.
Who's someone? Could you think of someone at the top of your head that looks like they have a punchable face? Logan Paul.
Yeah. There you go. That was easy. you got it. I think Logan
Paul looks like he has a punchable face.
Exactly. I think there are plenty of people out there who do. I think one of the funniest memes I ever saw was I think from the guy's name I think is Ajit Pai. He's a part of the FCC, and the name sounds voted against net neutrality. Right. And I saw a meme that was like something like the most punchable face ever, and it was him like smiling or something. I don't know.
He does have like kind of a dumpy face, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
This is is this rude?
A little bit, but whatever.
Well, this is what you get for voting against net neutrality.
Right, but yeah.
We are professional podcasters, and we respect net neutrality.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, so Backpfeifengesicht.
Okay. Mm-hmm. My first one is Korean, and it is Geurim Iuduk.
Okay.
Geurim Iuduk. And the literal translation is rice cake in a picture.
Rice cake in a picture, huh?
Now, this one blew me away. I want to see if you can guess this one.
I have rice cake in a picture. Is it like...
You're familiar with rice cakes, right?
Yeah. Is it like just something that's normal?
See, that's why I have no flabbergasted by this untranslatable. Okay. This is another one where I'm like, there's just like we're on different we're on different wavelengths, and like our cultures are different.
Right.
So the literal meaning is rice cake in a picture. The figurative meaning, what it's actually saying is something you desire but cannot have or afford. Rice cakes are staples of Korean cuisine. They can be eaten as a snack, but often make their most notable appearances in more formal or celebratory affairs. Culturally, they're associated with fortune and giving. Culturally, in America, they're associated with garbage
and blandness. Yeah. There's
Cosby. He's obviously a piece of garbage.
Right.
But there was a joke from the Cosby Show where he was on a diet. He's supposed to be on a diet.
Right.
And his wife told him that he was allowed to eat Claire Huxtable, that he was allowed to eat
rice cakes.
Rice cakes, and she's like, they're delicious. She's like 0 calories, 0 sugar, and he took a bite. He's like 0 taste.
Right, not wrong.
And it's so funny that there's like rice cake in a picture is like that's like the holy grail. Like, oh, I want that rice cake, but it's in a picture, so I can only dream of it.
Interesting. That is really interesting.
And it's like rice cake is like if I'm punished.
Right.
Even if you put some bananas or whatever on it, or peanut butter, it's still like
even Nutella.
The rice cake in general, it's like it's too thick. It's like I don't really like rice cakes.
Right. Me either.
I'd rather have a saltine cracker. There, I said it.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting. All right. Well, my next untranslatable for you, Jared, is also German, and it is Katzensprung.
Okay. Well, the direct translation is cat spring or awakening or
cat jump.
Cat jump.
Sprung would be like a jump.
Well, that's what I meant by spring.
Oh, gotcha.
Cat jump. Does that mean like quiet or stealthy, subtle?
Nope. A Katzensprung is like something that's not very far away.
Okay.
Like it's a cat jump
Cats
away.
Cats can jump pretty far. You know what the English untranslatable form of that would be?
What?
I don't know if this is a southern thing or not.
Hop, skip, and jump away?
There you go.
Ooh,
yep.
all right.
Yep. There you go.
I'm fixing to go somewhere that's hop, skip, and jump away.
Well, yeah.
Nice. Pretty solid.
So I got one for you that is Persian.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it goes kar tu kare.
Okay, and what do those words mean?
And so I think one thing I noticed, by the way, it's car, Khartoo is the middle word, then Khare. And so the literal meaning is there's a donkey inside of this donkey. So I'm going to guess that kar is Persian for donkey. That would be my educated guess.
That's a fairly
the phrase is
educated
kar
guess.
tu kare.
Interesting.
And
so
I
a
assume
donkey inside of a donkey?
Maybe the second donkey is some sort of different conjugation or some plural or something like
could
that.
Be. Is it like monkey see, monkey does?
No.
Okay.
It is a phrase that signifies chaos or disorganization. So if you show up at a meeting and everyone's late, no one knows the agenda, and everyone's in a disarray, you simply say, "There's a donkey inside of the donkey," and everyone will know exactly what you mean. And I believe it's a fairly common phrase.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, Jared, I only have one more untranslatable for you.
I think the English version of that untranslatable would be, "I can't even."
Right? That's true.
I literally can't even.
Right. All right, so my last untranslatable, I had to give you a Czech one, of course.
Of course. I mean, we're working on your polyglottism.
That's right. Well, right now, right now we're just
disorder.
working on my Czech. We'll work on the other languages when
I have polyglottism.
Right. So this one
I have to rub cream on my.
I guess your face muscles or your tongue or your vocal cords, right? Anyways, this word is it's 2 words. Zaplatit Mailand.
Zaplatit Mailand.
Mm-hmm. Zaplatit Mailand.
Is it food based?
No, zaplatit means to pay, and Mailand is I think it's Mailand. Zaplatit Mailand.
Would you say? See, that's the emphasis.
Yep.
The emphasis.
Stress. Exactly, and that means like Mailand, Milan in German, or Milan.
So to pay in Milan.
Mm-hmm.
So can I ask you this? If you were at a restaurant or bar or whatever cafe in Czech Republic, could you say some Zeppetite or some conjugation of Zeppetite in order to ask to pay or ask for your bill, almost as if you could say bezahlen bitte?
Actually, no, not yet. I usually do the finger up, and then they'll come.
I don't mean you specifically, but I mean, could one say that to ask for the bill?
Yeah, I forget what the word is. But yeah, there is a
but
word.
It's not Zeppetite.
I think. I don't think so. I think you say like the Czech word for like the bill, please.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, so the literal translation of this idiom is to pay Milan or to pay my land. Like that's a German word. Any ideas what this means?
The city of Milan in Italy. It's expensive.
Exactly.
Overpriced.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. I deserve that horn.
You do, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So do you have any? I think that was it for our untranslatables today, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right. Well, great,
sir. I have one more Persian one I could give you if you want. While we're here,
let's save it for later.
All right.
Let's save it for later because I want to move on.
Chad likes to keep people guessing.
Right. I want to move on to our song of the pod this episode because this is a fantastic song.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
Fantastic song.
I mean, I've been a huge fan of the song now since about 2016.
So, how did you discover the song? First, introduce it to the people first, and then tell us how you discovered it.
So, to all of our dear listeners out there, the song of our pod this episode is called Wünsch dir was, which means like wish something for yourself, by this German rapper called Genetic. But it's also worth mentioning the intro of the song is like sung by a child's choir, which was originally used in the song Wünsch dir was, same title, by Die Toten Hosen, which is like a German rock and punk group. So this guy took that and sampled it and then wrote a really good song.
Do you know if he got their blessing?
I would imagine so. I mean, don't you have to legally in order to?
I mean, I'm sure he got their. They got the blessing at least financially.
Right. I would imagine so. I'm not sure how all that works, to be completely honest with you, but yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's definitely a financial. They're getting paid for it, but I meant how'd you stumble upon this song?
So I actually asked a German friend of mine. So shout out to my buddy Kenny.
Shout out to Kenny.
Right. I asked him if he could give me some like German music that I would be able to use. This was while I was teaching over the summer in Germany to a bunch of college students. And I said, what would be some good German songs to use in our classes? Because a lot of the rap music in German, there's a lot of profanity. And there are just words I don't want to have to explain and teach to my students, right? If they want to learn those words, they're more than welcome to learn them, but I'm not going to spend...
Fick mich in
Arsch. Oh, God.
How do I explain that?
Oh, God.
Huh.
Yeah, let's not even go
Ask
there.
your mom. Ask your mom.
Right. Ask your host parents. Don't actually do that. But yes.
Some nice old grandma.
Right? Well, the irony is we do have some host parents that are significantly older, so that would be bad. But anyways... So I asked him, and he said, "Well, this is a really good song. It has good meaning, and it's very catchy." And so I thought, all right, and so we actually used this in one of my German courses, and yeah, so it starts out like I said, of like a children's choir singing the intro to Wünsch dir was from the Die Toten Hosen, or the Dead Pants, if you were to translate that, and they say "Es kommt die Zeit."
Are they also Die Toten Hosen? Are they also a punk style band?
Yeah, Die Toten Hosen are punk and Genetic is rap. Yeah,
right.
But
yeah.
So
I did listen to the song.
Right.
I forgot.
You're good.
I wasn't sure about.
You're good. So the intro is Es kommt die Zeit, in der das Wünschen wieder hilft, and it turns out that this kind of style, actually, if you go back, it's a similar beginning kind of to fairy tales, believe it or not, which is also kind of interesting. But basically the intro is saying like the time has come where we need to wish, or wishing will help. Wish something for yourself, right? And then and Genetic, fun fact, is actually Caruso, which is one of the rappers' names, and then I forget the DJ's name. So,
wait, say that again. Oh, it's a group.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 guys.
Okay. I think you meant it was like 2 different people.
And so he says
a pseudonym.
Right. So here, what I really like is, so I'll just try to translate this on the fly for our listeners out here. So the first line, he says, "So viele Wünsche wären."
Polyglot, baby.
Right. Well, not yet. We're getting there. Don't jump the gun too much on me, Jared. But so this says,
the pressure's on now. Now
right.
that I said that.
So he says, "So viele Wünsche, wir wollen zu viel." Rapstars and Groupies, nun sehen wir nicht, dass von den Diamantenketten Blut trieft. So what this means is, so many wishes, we want too much, rap stars and groupies, but we don't see that our diamond chains are like causing blood, right?
What's triefen mean?
Trieft is I'm pretty sure it's kind of like to cause.
Okay.
But now
I didn't mean to call you on the one word that you were like.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's more or less to cause or caused, but
I don't think I've ever heard that word before. To cause, but what would be another word for like?
No, I'm wrong. Completely wrong. Sorry. It's to ooze or to run. So it causes blood to run. That makes sense. Causes blood to run or blood to trickle.
What would be the word for cause? There is a word for cause.
Verursachen.
Okay. Okay.
But that obviously wouldn't work with the song. But anyways, so
it's a little long.
Right.
Ooze sounds a little better.
Right. To ooze or to drip or to run, like water running. So that basically, I'm actually not going to translate this line for line because that'll take us a while. Because now I'm looking at it and there's quite a bit. But basically, the meaning of the song is that when we wish for something, there are consequences, right? Especially if we get what we wish for, there might be unforeseen consequences, right? So that diamond chain that you have, like if you've ever seen the movie Blood Diamond, which is a great movie and has a lot of truth to it, there are these poor people in Africa who are mining for these diamonds and they're being beaten and they're in poverty and all this stuff. One of my favorite things for this song is he says, wir sind gierig und das ist was uns vernichtet, which means we are greedy and that's what will destroy us, basically.
That's what I love about the song of the pod, especially when it's something that you can translate on the fly, for example, is that I can grow, like the appreciation for a song can grow exponentially just by hearing. It's like, oh yeah, no, like there have been plenty of songs that I've heard where it's like even songs in English like the brushy one string, where it's like once I read this and look at it in form how it's supposed to be written, it's like, oh, this is like, I mean, I'm not saying that this is poetry, but I still might say that, but it's like oh, there's so much more to this than you think just by. And that's what I love about the Song of the Pod is like discovering what's actually behind some of these lyrics that you just listen to and it's like it sounds cool.
Oh yeah.
But they're actually saying, or like the Capadeza song. That's a great example.
Right.
Whereas like
it
sounded super like goofy, but it's like about the lifestyle of an immigrant in a foreign country trying to fit in.
Well, now that you mention that, you know that the song 99 Red Balloons or 99 Luftballons is actually about war. Yeah, there you go.
Singe ich ein Lied für dich. It's about war?
It's about war. I'm pretty sure it's about the Cold War.
I know that.
Yeah. So also
was that supposed to be some sort of like sign of love or something or peace?
No, it's about the Cold War and the consequences of war.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Was that 99 red balloons? What are the red balloons supposed to represent?
Oh, why are you asking me this now? I'm not sure.
You brought it up.
Well, I just brought it up to prove the point that there are songs that can be very kind of upbeat sounding but have a very deep message.
Right.
And speaking of deep messages, I want to talk about the hook or the chorus. So he says, "Das Leben ist kein Wunschkonzert," which just means like you can't get everything in life that you want, right?
Like excess of see, that's another untranslatable right there. Wish concert.
Right, and that's a great thing about
German. But I think
German.
he's just saying like an excess of wishes.
Right.
It's like you can't go crazy on wishes.
And then he says, "Doch jedes Leben ist ein Wunderwerk." So every life is like this beautiful, amazing thing,
piece
right?
Of work.
Right.
Yeah.
Du musst dran glauben, dann erfüllt sich das. So you have to believe in it, then it will fulfill itself. But denke nach bevor du machst und wünsch dir was. But really think about it before you do it and wish it, right? So I
like this much more now.
Maybe you can see it. I'm getting goosebumps translating this right now because it's really great.
This song's really growing on me now because that's the thing also about listening to songs, even though it's German and I understand German. To me, to listen to a new song, I have to give it a couple times before I really know what they're talking about. So I gave this song a couple listens, and I was like, it sounds good, and I enjoy some of the lines, but once I actually hear it, I'm like, oh, see, I love this. There's so much more to this.
It's super catchy. But here's the other thing I also want to share with our listeners before we switch gears is...
It also makes the video make a little more sense, too, by the way.
Oh, for sure. The video is really interesting, too. But anyways...
Yeah. All their faces are covered.
Right. Right. And I think they tend to do that most of the time. And I think they do that just so they can live normal lives.
Right.
But anyways, I also want to share with our listeners the second oh shoot, Jared, what's the English word for strophe? The second like paragraph or the second stanza. Stanza. Thank you. The second stanza. So here he says I love this line. He says, Ich hab mir ein self-made deal gewünscht und bekommen. So, like, I made a deal with myself and got it.
I love the self-made thrown in there, too.
Right. Zum Glück ist, ich muss nie wieder zurück zu McDonald's. So thankfully, I'll never have to go back to McDonald's. But this is the part I really love, right here. Doch fast jeder Wunsch hat eine Kehrseite. Mehr Geld, mehr Probleme, mehr Feinde. So what he says here is, on the contrary, almost every wish has a Kehrseite, an opposite or a consequence, right?
Right.
Its other side, more money, more problems, and more enemies. So yeah. So once again, I'm
Chad's out here.
getting goosebumps.
That's the music that Chad uses to hustle.
I mean, honestly, dude, I usually
More money, more problems.
I usually listen to the song before I go to the gym, to be honest. Oh, and here we go.
It is a good pump-up
It
song,
is.
especially once you know what they're talking about.
Right.
It's like, don't forget about the haters. Just do yourself.
Exactly.
Do you.
But also be careful
And,
what you wish for.
Right.
But right here, too, I also like this. He says, eines Tages stehen wir auf, dann kommt der Boomerang zurück. So one day we'll stand up, but then the boomerang comes back. So what you wished, you know, the consequences will come back and hit you. And then like I said a few minutes ago, und die Moral von der Geschichte, and the moral of the story, wir sind gierig, we are greedy, und das ist, was uns vernichtet. So we are greedy, and that's what will basically destroy us or cause our downfall.
I 100% agree with that statement as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, you know, I've mentioned before how I don't think racism is going to get any better, and how I don't think, and I think all that goes together. How it's just all built around greed, and that's why I think that's exactly why the economy goes in cycles of being going great, and then cycles of being terrible. Is because it all just there's always some times where there's we build up a bubble,
right,
and we can't sustain this bubble because it's just built in greed.
Oh, for sure.
And then from there the bubble breaks and you have to start over. But then a couple years later you think you're doing well again, and then you start getting a little greedy again and building that bubble again, and then it just happens. It's just it's unavoidable.
Oh, for sure. Well, Jared, we got pretty deep and philosophical with that, so we're going to lighten things up a little bit.
I'm glad you chose that song.
Thank
because
you.
I didn't give it much thought when I first listened to it.
It's a great song. So we'll also post that on our Twitter, so please give it a listen. It's a fantastic song.
Yes.
But now I want to lighten...
Untranslatable one.
Exactly. And I want to lighten things up a little bit, Jared. And I got 2 jokes for you this evening. So my first joke for you is, what do you call an alligator that's a thief?
A crocothief?
A crocodile. You were so close. You were so close.
I was actually surprisingly close. See, the reason I thought it wouldn't be that is because any nerd will tell you that crocodiles and alligators are different things.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. But these are corny jokes, so we got to do with what we can, right? All right, Jared, and this is the last one I got for you. This one I kind of changed and altered so I could ask you a question because, I love to involve you in these corny jokes. So here we go.
I like to be able to try to guess them, even though I always just end up being mad.
And I also love to hear your responses too, because they're genuinely like creative and funny. So
I was pretty close on the last one. I will say.
You were. So this next one is, why do teachers like whiteboards?
That almost got racist.
No, this is not a racist joke.
I'm kidding.
Thankfully.
Why do teachers like
no room for racist jokes on this pod?
I don't know. Why do teachers like whiteboards?
Because they're quite remarkable.
Okay.
Right? Because you can.
I like that.
Right? You get it? Because you can.
I remember one time one of my teachers in math class. He was. The funny thing is, he's a certifiable genius in the sense that he is in Mensa.
Okay.
He whipped out a Sharpie and started writing on the dry erase board with a Sharpie, and everyone in class was watching it, and because we're all dicks, we just let it happen for a bit. But someone said something, and he caught it quick enough where you could spray it with the normal spray and got it off. But it did take some elbow grease to get that off.
Oh, I believe it.
And every time I bring that up to other people, it's like that. Why'd you let him do that? And it was like, first of all, we were 16 or 17.
Still old enough to know
that
better,
was one
though,
of the most.
But
Oh, for sure. I mean, we knew we weren't. We knew we were purposely not telling him.
Right.
But that was entertainment for us idiots back then.
Oh, for sure.
We're simple-minded people.
Yeah, that's true.
That was those were pretty good jokes.
Thank you.
I'll always give you a little bit more leeway when I'm involved in them, obviously.
Right. I don't blame you.
But I did like that second one because obviously it got me jabbering.
Right. Okay, 1 second. Let me just make sure I have the right person because now I want to give us our quote. But hold up one moment here. I got to make sure I can find this dude's last name. I thought I had his last name there. And it is nowhere to be found. So one moment. Let's see here. Okay, perfect. So our quote of the pod this evening is, travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. And this was said by Gustav Flaubert. And I actually...
Who dat?
And I actually don't really know much about this guy, but I really liked that quote. And I thought he was actually a French novelist.
Could you say it one more time? I liked it too. But
the quote? Absolutely.
Oh, you do know who that is. He's a French novelist.
He is. But the quote is, travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. Gustav Flaubert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it really puts things into perspective when you travel.
Especially when you're in a place when they don't speak your language.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, I made a comment. This is a kind of a side comment that I made a while ago that kind of stuck with me. Is that we Americans sometimes forget that we're also foreigners to the majority of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're privileged in a lot of ways, but we do need to check ourselves. I would agree.
Right.
Well, Jared.
And I think when you're sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your beautiful.
Go ahead.
But like when you're in like situations like that, it's like you can't be forced, but you can't help but to remember that you're that tourist. I mean, excuse me, that you're that foreigner. That's what I meant to say.
And also that tourist, if you are being a tourist.
Right, according to the official quiz.
Exactly. We only do things here the official way. That's for sure.
But I love it. That's a good feeling.
Yes.
It's a good feeling to be.
As Jared said earlier this episode, I like to change things up on Jared and on you, our listeners, so you guys don't get too bored. And so I figured we would end tonight with a Czech word of the pod instead of a quote. Although that quote would have been great to end on, I think this Czech word of the pod will be even better. And
we got to keep you on your polyglot toes.
That's right, or your polyglot tongues, if you will, because that's such a beautiful image to have, right? Anyways, I want to give you all our lovely
Another joke of the pod got snuck in there,
right? I want to give all of our listeners this Czech word of the pod. Actually, it's 2 words today, which is hezký víkend. Do you have any idea, Jared, what that means? Hezký víkend?
Is the second word anything to do with weekend?
Yes, it does.
Have a good weekend?
Yes, sir.
Oh, shit.
That's right. So
hezký víkend.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So I would like to wish all of our listeners out there a very hezký víkend, and we hope to hear from you all via our Twitter, Untranslatable1. Please check us out on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, and send in your untranslatables, your tourist do's and don'ts to untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you all so much, and until next time.